Hey everybody, thanks for joining. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. I did notice that when Erica sent out the reminder to everybody, anybody using that link is coming on as Erica Test. If you don't mind, while we're waiting to get started, if you just go to your name in the participants list, you can rename yourself to who you actually are. So we would appreciate that. Please go through and update your name if you don't mind in the Zoom chat window, and we'll wait just a good 60 seconds or so to get started. Appreciate everybody taking some time out of your Thursday, and hopefully this is the last meeting you guys have of the day. And you guys can go enjoy your long weekend here. So I'll talk a little bit more about why this had to be an emergency and why it had to be today here in a few minutes when we get started. Let's wait a couple more seconds.
I know. Geez, John, it takes a Canadian guy to pick American holiday and just trample all over it.
All I got to say, Steve, is A, you're in the office, and B, you didn't wish me happy Canada Day on the 1st. So that's what you get.
Good
It's called payback. I'm just kidding. Actually, you know what? You guys will see as I go through this that there's a reason why I called it an emergency, and I wanted to fire some people up going into the weekend, thinking through what I'm going to share with you guys here today. With that said, I'm going to get started. Again, if you look at your name and it's called Erica Test, please go to the participants window, go to the More button, I believe it is, and rename yourself to your name so we can see all who's here. And certainly, although I have a whole session planned here to go through with you guys today, feel free to use the chat. Feel free to come off mute and say, hey, hold on a second, got a question. I would welcome any of that at any time from anybody. Really appreciate any interaction as much as possible as we go through this here today. But I guess to get started, I'm going to share my screen. And that means I may not see all y'all in the process. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to maybe add somebody else in as a host, just in case I'm not seeing people that are coming through. Erica, I'm going to add you as the co-host. So please keep adding people in that are coming through because people keep coming in here. First off, I guess to get started, this session is brought to you by Entrepreneurs United, but more specifically brought to you by the Entrepreneurs United Empowerment Experience, which is coming up here in October. Entrepreneurs United Retreat, the Empowerment Experience, October 6th through the 8th, 2025. There are 5 reasons to attend this Empowerment Experience. I'm going to give you a 6th, which is by the end of this session, if you don't want to attend our live AI workshop in Winston-Salem, I did something wrong. But refresh and refocus. We have 60 to 65 entrepreneurs that are going to be there, spending time with each other, networking, connecting, going through strategies for growth, expanding opportunities. We have world-class speakers and insights that are coming in. We're lining all those up right now. We got a special surprise for people that are coming in terms of our experience that we do at every event. But certainly not least of my interest and attention is we're going to be running a pretty intensive AI workshop for entrepreneurs that I'm really excited about as well. Again, appreciate you guys all joining us here today, and please join us in Winston-Salem, October 6th to the 8th, if you're available. So I want to get into the meat of this real quick. I've been telling anybody that would listen over the past 3 to 4 weeks that I finally have figured it out. I have finally figured out how we can take this thing called AI that everybody's been talking about and how it's going to improve business and improve things and how it can apply to our actual business right now. Back in 2016, I think it was, or 15, I started using something called SaneBox to connect my email to this algorithm to clean up my inbox every single day. So AI tools have been around for a long time. I'm sure we've all heard that, but it wasn't until 2022 that ChatGPT launched and threw everything for a tizzy, right? And I was a really early adopter. I was starting using ChatGPT to do everything from plan out my cornhole teams at a tournament, to help me write a letter, to help me digest a legal letter, to help me think through things, to help me do things within written format, if you will. And we all jumped in on that bandwagon. Back in 2022, if you were in Austin, Texas for the Entrepreneurs United Empowerment Experience, we had Dr. Luke Wilson come talk to us and all opened our minds a little bit. In 23, we saw an explosion of AI SaaS tools, and small and medium-sized businesses started using tools to create content, create images, a lot of marketing-driven type of things. And really in 2024, in 2025, we started realizing, okay, this has to be essential to our businesses. How do we figure this out? How do we get adopting to it? And what I quickly have learned over the past month was, to me, it threw me back on my chair, because although I had heard about the promise of AI and the promise of what these tools could do for us in our small businesses or medium-sized businesses or large businesses, I hadn't put really any of it into practice in my own business, really, in terms of creating operational efficiencies, increasing our production capacity, decreasing costs. None of that stuff was really applicable to me other than help me write this letter or help me as an individual producer do things a little bit quicker. So I want to walk through real quick the the 7 phases of AI as I'm seeing them today. Phase 1 was the search replacement. You use ChatGPT instead of Google. You hear a lot of people talking about that now, that people are going to ChatGPT to ask it a question instead of going to Google. So we're not Googling it anymore. We're ChatGPTing it to a certain degree. Then there was content acceleration. Help me draft emails, proposals, summarize long documents. Then there was phase 3, this idea of not just a singular chat with somebody, but I can create a project using ChatGPT. So as an example, if you don't know what a project is, like here's an example of one that I have in ChatGPT, which is basically, hey, be my CTO. I'm going to give you a bunch of project files. I'm going to give you some instructions. You're a CTO for my company. I'm going to load in a whole bunch of information about Salesforce.com, which is the platform we use, and a bunch of other things. Help me do X, Y, and Z, right? I even have a CFO where I've loaded all our financials into it. I'm using a paid account. So let's just make sure that's a clear point too. A paid account in GPT lets you protect some of your information, right? But that's kind of how you create a project where you create a repository of information that as you move forward, it gets smarter and smarter. That's what a project is. And that was phase 3 for me. And these fundamentals save a little bit of time, but it's just the beginning. Then you get to phase 4 and 5, which is getting strategic a little bit. And phase 4, I have as custom GPTs or gems. And so I'm going to use an example here of Gemini. I don't know if you guys have used this before. This is an unlaunched product that I've built that I want to introduce to our business, which is basically an HR assistant. And if you go into this file, what this gem is, it basically has all the information that I'm looking for it to do. Hey, you're a Rhombus HR assistant. Here's your goals. Here's what you need to do. If you don't know how to answer questions, here's how you handle it. And oh, by the way, let me give you some documents. Here's all the documents that came from our website and different tools. So you build this agent here that basically can answer questions, right? What is the 401k plan at this company, as an example, right? Pretty basic stuff. But this can be shared across the entire organization and act as an HR liaison, if you will, to answer questions versus me going through a 100-page handbook example. So that to me was phase 4. Phase 5 was all these AI SaaS tools. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting emails, I'm getting text messages, I'm getting phone calls of somebody trying to sell me a software right now. Our company actually just bought one prior to me discovering all these tools, which is, hey, we're going to do some LinkedIn prospecting for you. And we're going to reach out to prospects that meet your criteria. We're going to learn about them. We're going to email them an email that sounds like it's coming from your sales rep, that's customized with information about their company and research we've done. And we're going to send out 100 of these a day or 1,000 of these a week or whatever it may be to generate leads for your business. And so we're like, let's give that a shot. What's the cost? And I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it was something like a $6,000 setup and $2,000 a month, right? So we're like, let's give us a try for 6 months. 6 months is about an $18,000 to $20,000 investment for this tool to do prospecting for you. These are coming out left and center. And I'm going to show you why today, because we got to stop falling for the bait. Here's what we need to figure out. There are 7 phases of AI adoption. I've gotten through all 5, and it wasn't until the last month that I figured out phase 6. And that's why I want to share this with everybody, because I truly believe this can save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money not falling for different tools out there, but also can increase your operational efficiency and productivity. So most businesses are stuck in these phases. What I'm going to show you today is where the real ROI happens. And that phase is AI automation and AI workflow automation. And so I want to preface all of this. Hopefully you all signed the waiver and acknowledgement form that you recognize that I'm not an IT person. I'm not an IT director. I'm not a software programmer. I'm not a coder. I don't know how to code. I don't know any of this stuff. So as I give you a demo today, I may falter, something may not work. Please bear with me as I go through this. Hopefully I get everybody's acknowledgement that you'll bear with me on this. Here's what I want to show you. Let me show you a few examples. So our company, one of our companies, BrandPoint Services, which is a construction company, does transactions. We do 67,000 work orders a year on average. And we have about 120 employees, and all of them have credit cards because when they have to go to Home Depot or they have to go here, they have to go somewhere to purchase stuff, they need a credit card to go make that transaction. So we use credit cards in a system called Ramp, which I'll show you in a second. And when you charge something to your card, you got to take a picture of the receipt and put it in. All that works really good. You can code where it belongs to and everything else. But for 650 transactions a month that go on credit card, it takes a couple of minutes for somebody to go in and do it. Not a big deal. Has to be done. Can't be changed. But in addition to that, we also manage all of our projects in Salesforce.com. So we have a project to maybe go refresh a building, and we got to do paint, we got to do floor, we got to do all these different things. So I may have several transactions that I put on my credit card for this project. If I charge, in this picture example, $54.10 at Floor and Decor, I now need to go into Salesforce and create a matching work order. And matching is underlined for a reason. It's got to have the right vendor. It's got to be the right dollar amount. It's got to match exactly that transaction, but I'm putting it in manually. So think about 650 transactions, 12 months a year, punching those in. It's taking about 5 minutes per transaction on average. 650 transactions is 55 hours. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is at the end of the month, our finance and operations team has to reconcile all these transactions and correct the errors and send it back to the project manager and go, hey, this says $54.10, but you actually put $54.09 in Salesforce. Can you actually go in? They got to go open it back up and edit it and say, okay, this is now done. So we do this whole reconciliation process at the end of every month. I estimate this to cost us 96 hours a month for our company at $50 an hour, totally loaded cost, because we have everybody from our controller into this and some VPs and other people involved. It's costing us around $60,000 a year to do this particular example. We've been doing it for over a year now. And so I was puzzled, like, how can we fix this problem? And I figured it out. And once I figured this out, it opened up a whole new door that I'm going to show you guys all today that I'm really excited about, as you can probably tell. So let me give you a live example. This is a test project in our environment. And I'm showing you this because this can connect to any environment. But this is our environment. We have this project that we need to do. As you can tell, it's a test. And we have these different work orders that belong to the job, right? So if I go to work orders, there's a bunch of work orders that belong to the job. This is our ramp system. So let me just refresh, make sure nothing's changed here. So if I take this project number over here and I go to one of these ramp charges, let's say there's a Sherwin-Williams charge here for paint, I'm assuming, and I come in and let's say I'm this person, I code it, and I just put the project number here, which is the project number for here, into the system and save that. Here's where the whole magic of what I want to show you guys today is. I found systems and a system, and here's an AI automation workflow builder that I built. I built on myself this past weekend. My wife could be my judge on this. It didn't take me that long because I've learned how to do these tools that I had AI help me build. And this, I want to just show the trigger here of how this works. You see this charge here of $66.73. You see here, there is no work order for that dollar amount, and you're going to see one come in at the bottom here in a minute. And I can come run this workflow. And what this workflow is going to do is it's going to get the ramp transactions. It's going to filter valid transactions that are cost of goods sold. It's going to take my test one. It's going to format it. It's going to look in Salesforce for the right project. It's going to look for the right vendor account. And if it's successful, it's going to prepare a JSON code file and create a new work order in Salesforce. And for those of you here from BrandPoint are probably like, oh my gosh, how much time is that going to save all our project managers from manually creating work orders? And it's going to match 100% of the time. So if I come back over here into the project and you look now at work orders, you'll see a new work order for $66.73 for this new work order that was created that our company has had to create manually and still does today. In June, they had to go create all of these 650 work orders manually in our system that I automated in a weekend. And to me, this kind of blew my mind. I've been testing on this for a few weeks on different concepts and different things. And I was like, how is it possible? Like, I don't know how to code. How did I build all this coding language that's in these nodes that you see here? These are all AI generated code. And these are all bots, right? These are all, you hear a lot about agentic bots forming workflows. This is an assembly line of bots that are going through and executing a job. What's interesting about this and fascinating to me is this is actually not an AI workflow. This is just a workflow, right? It's APIing from Ramp. It's APIing Salesforce. It's creating some records. There's no AI in this at all other than I used AI to create it, which is where some of the magic are going to come in. Because we all have finance systems, operation systems, sales systems, all these other things. But how do we connect them all without having to go hire a programmer for 20 grand or 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever it may be to improve our processes? So this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let me open up a step further. We have this other project, and there's a couple of people on this call that are going to be working on this soon, where we have lien waivers. We have projects where we do a couple hundred sites a month, let's say, where we got to get lien waivers literally printed, notarized, back into a Google Drive, sent off to the customer system. This is in development. This is not done yet, but we're figuring out other applications where we're spending manual work. And we actually have one of our interns on the call here today who is manually doing this today and is going to help us develop this whole AI process workflow. So when she goes back to school in the fall, she helped our company save so many hours every single month through this process automation. Let me take it to another side. This is a LinkedIn post generator. Hopefully some of you guys are seeing some content from me on LinkedIn from time to time. Let me show you this. This was built here recently, and I'll show you a little example. Let me go get a note here that I have prepped, and I'm going to go test this workflow. And I'm going to just put in my email, which I would technically, once I'm done testing, don't need to do. I'm going to put the topic of my post, which you guys can all read right now if you'd like. And my audience is entrepreneurs of SMBs. And this post says, I'm hosting a session right now called Emergency AI Session. What I discovered can save you 100K in the next 12 months. I'd like to create a post thanking all the entrepreneurs for attending, encouraging entrepreneurs to continue investigating and testing ways for AI workflow, blah, 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 blah. I could include my own image if I wanted to. So I could come over back to the Zoom window and take a picture of everybody. I could do that. Or I can just let it pick an image for me or create an image for me. So what's happening here is it's using Open Router, and it's a chat model, I think that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But this is an AI agent. This is an agentic bot that's right now writing a post for me based on the feedback that I gave it. And as you can see over here, I'm setting it up so I can SMS a text to myself and say, hey, write a post about this, and here's a picture of me and Jimmy. Or I can send an email, and it will create this flow where it will write a post for me. It will look at news sources to find actual statements of fact that are out there or references to my point. If I'm saying how much does entrepreneurs save by using AI technologies or things like that, it will check to see if I have an image. If I have an image, it's going to use that image. If it doesn't have an image, it's going to use another AI bot to generate an image based on what it was told to generate. So if I open this up, it was basically told by the chat, if you will, create a modern professional LinkedIn graphic featuring a diverse group of entrepreneurs standing around, glowing header, emergency AI call, save 100K, blah, 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 blah. So that's now currently creating that image. It's going to convert it to a binary format. It's going to then bring it over here, and it's going to send me the post. So as it's working through this, it now sent me the post. And if I go to my email over here, you now see the post. And here's the post. Thank you to all the entrepreneurs who joined me for today's AI call. Your engagement, willingness to challenge status quo, the SMB community. For those who couldn't attend, don't let the conversation stop here. If you missed today's session, blah, blah, blah. What information are you looking to do for it? I can actually automatically post this if I set it up to do, as you can see right here, but I choose not to trust it just yet. And you'll see the image. Here's an image of all of us proud of the call and how it's going to boost productivity and everything else. And I can just download that image if I'd like. And I appreciate all you guys taking the time for helping me out here today. So I'm going to just get that image out there and post my post. So you can go to LinkedIn and check that out if you'd like. Chloe, you have a question?
What are the different ways that you can get output from this chat? Because it seems like it can actually do a LinkedIn post for you or email it to you, which is really cool. Is there a direct chat response that it can give you here in this system? This is the post, or what are all the different ways that it could provide you output?
Good question. I'm just exploring that right now. I know I could put it into a Google Sheet where you can go approve it and then it will post it. You can just post it directly to LinkedIn. I can send you an email. There are chat inferences, and I'm going to show you a chat situation here pretty soon where there's chat windows where it can send you back the chat and you can go through it. So there's a lot of different ways. I haven't explored them all though, Chloe, so great question. But there's a lot of ways. Let me show you this one though. And this is the JSP AI digital marketing agent. This takes it on steroids. What this does will do the exact same process for me, but it will actually post the post and write 4 different posts. So write one post for Instagram, one post for Twitter, one post for Facebook, and one post for LinkedIn based on the same exact input. If I come over here, give it the topic, maybe put something in, maybe don't, and it's off and running, creating the post, right? This one actually sends it to approve content before proceeding. So as it does the content, it's actually going to send me an email that if I click the approve button, it's going to post everything to those 4 social mediums. And again, can include my image, another image, things like that. So this is a marketing side of things. And again, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of these opportunities that exist here. And I'm going to show you a bunch of other ones here in a second. So to not wait for this, I want to maybe proceed, but you guys kind of can see how this would work is I'm going to get another email here in a few moments. That's going to basically be another example of what post could look like. Let me bring it to real world practicality. Okay, John, this is fantastic. These things can be built. Sounds like it'd be pretty easy, but how? Let me show you a good example. Claude AI, which is by Anthropic, is the coding AI agent. So the general, I as well have a ChatGPT account. That's where most people are spending time. I moved to Claude because I was having fun with just testing what's going on. So I'll show you what I mentioned earlier, a reference to our company before me going into this, finding an AI company. She was charging us $18,000 over the next 6 months. And they probably want to charge us monthly, $2,000 a month, by the way, to create an automated LinkedIn prospecting system for us. So I wrote a prompt here, create a scope of work for me to provide a prompt for an end builder, which I'll show you in a second, that I can build a comprehensive workflow that automates LinkedIn prospecting for searching by VPs of construction, matching it against email addresses in Zoom Info, which is another system that we use for company research, and do all these different things. Put it in a Google Sheet, write personalized emails, do all these different types of things. And so as I ask it that question, it will go do this for me and create a scope of work. But that's one part. Here's another part. I quickly glanced over this earlier. And this is where now I really fell off the chair. I actually built an AI agent that can actually build workflows. And so as opposed to going to Claude and saying, hey, give me a scope of work for what this would look like, right? Which I could go through and vet and make sure it works. I can come over here and just type in the same prompt I just showed you, workflow automates LinkedIn prospecting, so on and so forth, and chat with it. And this bot will actually use all the source documents of N8N, which is the system I'm using, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, use this AI agent bot that's using a Claude API. It's using an API to this, and it's going to go write a workflow for me. While that's doing that, because that takes a second, I want to come back over here and say, here's the scope of work that Claude just wrote for me for this LinkedIn prospecting project. Maybe it's accurate. Maybe I want to make some changes. It's still actually going. I could go through and edit it. But what I could also do is say, this is great, which by the way, costs these AI companies a lot of money to be polite. Can you please write a JSON file that I can import into N8N with the correct workflows, proper JSON formatting or something like that. So what it's going to do now is it's actually going to take that scope of work that it just wrote, and it's going to start coding for me. It's actually going to code that entire workflow that I just scoped. And you saw how long the scope of work document was. I could go through with my team, and is this the right way we want to do it? Or we want to do it this way or that way? It doesn't really matter, but it will scope out an entire file for me. Instead of doing that, what I did is I used this AI workflow builder. So you could do one of two ways. You could either have Claude AI write the workflow for you, or I've now built this AI workflow builder. You can see there's now a workflow link. So if I take this link right here that it just built for me, and I open up a new tab, here is what it just built for me. My agent builder built this workflow for me that seems pretty elementary. To do some prospecting, we're going to connect this to LinkedIn with the APIs. It's going to go look at Zoom, try and match the information, right? It's going to enrich the information. It's going to store it in Google Sheets. It's going to send an email, personalized email. I got to add an AI agent here, update the status, create a Salesforce lead if I need to, right? So it created this easy, I'll call it simple workflow for me. But if I come back over here to Claude as it's still coding, I could also take this file and I can come over to N8N and import the file that Claude's coming together with me, which will take a further second. By doing this process, just so I don't want to take too much time in case it keeps coding for a while, here's an example of what I ended up with in my testing of this thing. Here's a LinkedIn construction prospecting workflow that you can see there's multi-layers to it, but it's going to search LinkedIn prospects. So it's going to go basically look for keywords, different fact industries. It's going to go get me 25 at a time, if you will. It's going to split the results. It's going to add it to a prospect database in Google Sheets. It's going to go find the email. This will be changed to Zoom info. If there's an email found, if an email is not found, it's going to try a different system to see if we can find the email. If it's found, it's going to put that information. It's going to research the company. It's going to do some personalized email using the AI agent. It's going to send an initial email. It's going to wait to see what happens. It's going to update the contact status, and it's going to create it in Salesforce, not HubSpot. But then there's a follow-up. If they don't reply by a certain date, they're going to get a follow-up email. It's going to keep going until we get a reply. If there's a reply, notify the sales team so they can actually take it over and respond, as an example, and then send a weekly report of what's going on. This is not being used today. I haven't fully tested it, fully vetted it out. I literally created this in the past few days. Don't hold me to it, but it's just an example of how easy it is to create these workflows that can help optimize what you're doing in your business. Meanwhile, over here, it looks like I hit some sort of max limit on this, so I can hit continue. I guess because I left the page, and typically it will continue to write the code, but I could easily have come in here and imported that file here and just import the JSON file. If I have an example from the past here, I'm not sure, but I can just import the file like that, and bang, it can come in as easy as that. So how did I get to all of this? How did I figure some of these things out? I'm going to show you another example. So this is somebody I follow on LinkedIn now, Nate Herc, does AI automation. Here's a video he posted 2 days ago. Watch me build an AI resume analysis system in 28 minutes. So I watched this video maybe on 2x speed or something and see how does this work and what is he doing here? And that's pretty interesting. But I also belong now to his community. This is a free community, AI Automation Society, where I literally can take this here, the name of his post, I can come search his society for it. I can find his report. I can download the JSON file of what he's looking to do here. And I can go into N8N and I can import his file of how to do resume screening. And think about all the times you put an ad out there and you're trying to screen resumes. And what this will do is it'll collect resumes. So let's say you have resumes at yourcompanyname.com. It will upload it to a Google folder or a 365 folder, or whatever you're using. It will look, is it a Word doc, PDF, text file? It'll get all that information. It'll standardize the input. It will look at the job description this job was posted for. It'll extract some text and it'll do some analysis. You got to add the AI agents here and connect them all to do the AI analysis and give it a scorecard and rank and stack all the resumes they came in for this job. Just imagine the time saved by somebody just looking at a scorecard to know which applications they should be calling. And I just put this together in 2 seconds, and it'd probably take me another hour to go configure these nodes because I already have some of my stuff in here where my account's already saved, things are already in here. I could go configure these agents and have it ready really quick. I even got to another level where I'm creating a database of all these different workflows that are out there. I'm not going to go through these today, but just to give you an example of all the things that could be done. I have about 100 and I took this list from some other guy I found. I kept building on it. I have 177 of these. Meeting prep automation, client onboarding system, graphic design. I know people on this call that have full-time graphic designers that work for them for one company, right? What are they should be using these tools at minimum so they could do other things. I'm not saying you should go replace your team with these tools, but have them be more efficient, have them be more productive so they can do other things. In N8N, which is the system that I'm using, I'm just blown away by the integrations. It has integrations into almost everything. And if it doesn't, you can API into anything without going to hire these big companies to go do API integrations and functionality. As you can see here in my credentials, I got all my different credentials already set up. So anytime a new workflow comes in, like the one we just did for this resume, I can connect it to my Google Drive right away. It's already connected to my Google Drive API account. I can go find the list of what I want for my folder, on, and connect which folder I want to connect. It's so easy to automate and set up. And if you look in a lot of these, if I go back to maybe the LinkedIn one is a good example, these are all system prompts that are in these messages as an example of the LinkedIn one. You're an AI agent. Here's your job. Here's your objectives. Here's what you need to go do, right? It's all same thing in terms of prompting and what you do, but I didn't have to create it because there's already templates that exist out there. I know like on N8N as an example, they have thousands of templates. I think they talk about how many templates they got somewhere on this homepage that you can actually go run and tweak and edit. You have all these different tools out there that are out there with AI telling you all the different methods to do this, templates, classes, and all these kinds of things. But the example comes back here, which is think about the project and the savings, and the AI automation workflow finally triggered for me the aha moment of now AI can start helping me. Now AI can help me save on costs, can remove manual work, can increase productivity, can increase sales. It finally showed me how it can actually work in my own company. We have a pretty sizable company and we have really zero AI workflow automation in our company today. And I put in some of the posts in my research, about 30% of your costs, your employee costs, your staffing costs could be more efficient by using these tools. And when I do 30% of our number, it got me like just really going down this path to think through how to do it. It all just starts with a trigger event. Something happens, an email received, an SMS, some trigger every night at midnight, whatever it is, every hour on the hour. There's AI bots and nodes. All those different nodes were processing information that they were trained, that literally they were coded without any coder. You just give a plain language scope of work. Here's what I want you to do. The app will give you the prompts and the code. It APIs to systems between all your different systems. You're using Slack or CRM or HubSpot or your financial package, all these different components, and then give it a completion without human intervention, but also setting up for human to then take it from there and take it the final mile, close the sale, onboard the client, whatever it may be in terms of preparation. Think about the ROI. If 30% of your overhead is inefficient with manual workflows, and this is one small example, right? I did half of my example of that ramp example. If you had a 50-hour a month something is going on and a total for the labor is $30,000, how much would you invest to save it? And what I'm learning is that these tools can be built really efficiently. And by the way, this is not a commercial. I don't plan on building any workflows for anybody on this call. What I do know, though, is there are AI automation specialists. I think we got one or two on this call. There's freelancers out there. There are interns in high school and college that know how to code these things. It is very cost efficient. You can get very high ROI by paying attention right now, because if you don't, we're going to miss the window. And when I think about the phases of adoption, the next one's going to be autonomous agents. We're not quite there yet, other than some cars and other things, but you got to get to phase 6. And what I've learned is every single entrepreneur I've talked to over the past month and showed this to them, none of us are at phase 6. I'm not even at phase 6 right now, by the way. All these tools I'm showing you, other than the LinkedIn one, they're not even active in my business today, but I felt it was so critical to bring this to our community of Entrepreneurs United and the entrepreneurs that we work with, that I wanted to get this session in place as soon as possible, because the time is now. We can't wait. Our competition is going to jump ahead and start automating things, automating their marketing, automating their sales, automating operations, and margins are going to get condensed if you don't jump in quick and figure this one out. So I thought that was really, really important. Here's what I suggest for an action plan. I'll open up for questions and discussions with everybody. Start small. I literally started with, how can I automate this process that's spending 96 hours a month that we're doing in our company and could save us $60,000 a year? That's where I started. And then I found these tools because of it. But now that you see the tools that are available to you, just find one thing. Maybe it's something you do that takes 2 hours a week. Maybe it's something your team does. Just find some manual process. I'm opening myself to everybody on this call. I'll book a one-on-one call with you. You can bring a team member on if you'd like, just to talk through what I got. I don't expect anybody on this call to become a coder and start developing these workflows like I've done. But just by being an owner of your business and being knowledgeable that these things are out there, you can get people on your team, let's call them process improvement engineers or whatever it may be, that can help you build these and really help your company save money. And then once you've got your first one built, then expand and build other things. So if you're interested in booking a call, you know how to reach out to me, or there's a QR code there. Just book a time in my schedule. I'll get on with you. I'll help you get started in the right direction. If you need introductions to resources, we have people that we work with that we can put on that are AI specialists that can help you achieve your plan, whether it be voice AI agents or other agents you may be interested in. We have contacts for that, and I'll put you in touch with the right people. And last but not least, this is why you need to attend the 2025 Empowerment Experience, because this is the tip of the iceberg. By the time we get to Winston-Salem in October, we're going to be running an AI workshop with entrepreneurs. We're going to have some really good speakers there. We're going to have some testing going on. I'm going to be asking entrepreneurs to come with workflows and ideas on how they can save money from their companies and be more efficient. Please join us. If you haven't, there's a QR code there as well to register and come. The ROI of just coming to that event is in and of itself a big one, because it's a very close-knit 1 degree of separation type of event that we host for entrepreneurs. And I plan on taking this to the next level come October. So between now and October, my research is going to keep going to try and bring you guys the best I can possibly find to help us grow our respective companies. Again, action plan, start small, get some support, There's a lot of companies out there that can help you build your workflows versus pay them a monthly retainer where they set something up once and they make $2,000 from you for life because you didn't know how to do this, right? Figure out how to do these. There's a lot of ways to implement these tools, figure it out to implement and scale. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop the share as well so I can see you guys. I'm available for the next 23 minutes. I'd love to answer any questions. I genuinely believe that depending on the size of your company, depending on what you're doing, the opportunities are here and it's easier than ever. You want to be a first mover here, not a last one. Appreciate everybody's time.
I had a question. I don't want to be the only one asking questions, so if someone else wanted to jump on, that's totally fine too.
Sure, go
But
ahead.
just when you were you were creating the workflow and you said how you could either go into Claude and have it lay all of that out, and then you could also turn that into a JSON and then put that into NAN, but you also could just put the prompt straight into NAN. And I was just wondering what the benefit of doing it through Claude first versus NAN was, because I understand how AI chatbots all are very different. So I was wondering if your thought process was more Claude might come up with something different from NAN, or you're using Claude because it breaks it down for you visually and you can read every step of it and potentially change smaller things that you wouldn't necessarily see in NAN.
So, Chloe, in order for you to go straight into NAN and put your prompt for it to generate a workflow, you actually have to build an AI workflow agent to begin with.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I built my own AI agent workflow. I had a template where I started and I built it. I coded it for what I was looking for it to do. I'm still working through
Was
it.
that like the longest part of starting on this? Did that take a lot of time?
No, I didn't even know that was possible until like last week. And then like I remember not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I remember telling Amy, I was like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe what I just built. Because then it creates the agent's workflow for you. But before that, I was just putting in Claude, hey, here's what we're gonna do. Give me a scope of work, convert that to a JSON file. And by the way, when you create a scope of work, you should then go back to your team and go, okay, is the scope of work right? Is this the right flow? Is this the right process? Okay, now create a JSON file for me. Now import it in and now set it up. So that would be the right way to start until you build your own AI agent workflow, or I share my AI agent workflow with all of you and you can go straight there. But I built that agent. And so now that I have it, I want to show it off because it's pretty cool.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, John, I see your comment there. Great point. Put a chat in there. John O'Brien, maybe you can come off mute for a sec. Can you share what you just shared in the link too as well? And by the way, John is one of the AI specialists we have on this call that hopefully will also be in Winston-Salem with us.
Yeah. Yeah. So the link I put in was the repository of over 3,000 different workflows from that tool. And there are other tools too. There's make.com, Zapier is another one, very similar to N8N. N8N is probably the premier one if you want to have AI agents embedded in some of those workflows. But yeah, you could just search for sales lead generation or whatever it is. And people have in the community have created and shared publicly all of these things. So the barrier to entry is really low. Like I highly recommend just do it. Just start, just try it. It's like anything. If you were going to build a deck, maybe for the first time, you could watch a YouTube video and you can learn how to build a deck. If you want to build decks for a living and build great elaborate decks, yeah, you probably need a little bit more to go on, but there's no reason not to start now. There's stuff that's very doable. And I love, like John, when you said, hey, you were using Claude or ChatGPT to just help you navigate doing the work. That's brilliant. Like that, the barriers to being able to do all this stuff are just really dissolving right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing, John. And one of the big things that you ask AI to help you use AI, right? And when I think through how many companies write weekly blogs, they write summary documents. We have a lot of companies here who try to take information from their finance system and get it into their operational system or try and merge those pieces. All of this can be done. All of this is here. You just need to start small and create these connections versus hiring this large IT company to come in and charge you all these arms and legs. You can do this in-house now. And that's the big power of some of these tools. Not that you don't need an IT company or software company for more complicated projects, but a lot of them aren't. Greg, thank you for raising your hand there.
Hey, yeah, thank you very much, Sean, for putting this together. As an accountant, I particularly appreciate the cost-saving aspect to this. But as a finance guy, my head immediately goes to the customer-facing, client-facing, or stakeholder-facing potential here. And I wonder if you put any thought into, if I remember correctly, there was one component of one of your workflows that was pulling news articles or quotes from the web. And I'm wondering, have you put any thought into fact checking that so that what you do put out that might be client facing or stakeholder facing is valid? We've seen examples where there's hallucinations in AI that put out false quotes or false facts. And I want to make sure that I'm just curious if you thought about that and the time that might be required. Or is there a technical workaround, workflow to fact check some of that stuff?
Sure. So literally this morning, the gentleman I was showing you, Nate Herc, had a new video out. Here's how you do research. Here's 12 minutes. I can set up a workflow in 12 minutes to do research on all your competitors every week, as an example. But the tool that he uses, maybe some of you have heard of it, is Perplexity. And what Perplexity does, it will search current facts, current internet, current things that are going on. But what it'll do is it'll return all of its information and research with citations. Here's the link. Here's where I found it. Here's the information. So as opposed to just tell me what you think it is, and then it's hallucination and you put it out. I was currently using Tavily. That's an API that I have for getting news sources. I think I'm going to move to Perplexity because I want the citations. I want it to say, hey, this is what someone said. And by the way, here's the link if you want to go find it. I don't need to be the curator of all this research and information. I'm just trying to gather it, right? In a way, when you're doing these summary documents. So I think that's really important. So Perplexity is the one that can come back with citations. And I think more and more we're going to see, and I'm not no AI expert, but I think people are going to want to see, okay, what's the source behind this? That's the source of truth. Where I thought you were going to go, Greg, differently when you mentioned finance was just the information protection. And where's this information going? And what about my own custom information? One is the claim is if you're on a paid account, it's your information. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they're telling me when I sign up. But with N8N, the interesting part, and I'm nowhere near that, I'm using an N8N cloud. You can actually take the N8N system and put it on your own servers. You don't have to run it on the N8N servers. You can actually run it on your own servers, APIing into the back end of Claude or Chat or those kinds of things. So if you have a $20 paid account at ChatGPT or Claude, as an example, that's the chat interface. That's where you get to go chat with them. If you want to API into them, you have to have an API account, which I'll share this with you. It's another piece of information that I may be oversharing here, but there's another system that I found, which is called Open Router. And Open Router, what it does is instead of using an API to ChatGPT or an API to Gemini or an API to Claude or whatever it is, it picks whoever it thinks it's best for the project. So if I come back to one of my workflows over here as an example, you could see that I'm using an API. The chat model is connected to Open Router. And Open Router, in this case, thinks that OpenAI ChatGPT 4.1 is the right resource for it, right? Versus if I'm in another model, I'm not sure which other one is here. This one, to create builders, it's using Claude Opus 4. So I'm using this Open Router, which is basically every time I use it to do these demos for you today, it's costing me money. It's like the cash register, right? The cash register keeps going down every time I'm using credits on this API thing. So it's not $20 a month or whatever. It's a usage-based kind of system. But you can host N8N on your own servers as well, if that's of interest. I think you raise your hand. Anybody else have questions as well? Chloe, did you raise your hand again, or is that from earlier? Okay, go ahead.
Just in response to Greg's question of like just not wanting to trust like AI blindly of the outputs they're giving you, making sure you're not doing like really bad things and not realizing because you can't necessarily see it. I'm curious if there's a way you can program the chatbot that you created. Like I know when I'm creating work with AI, usually written work, if I have something that I wrote and then I'm asking it to expand upon it, usually ChatGPT will go in and rewrite and make everything better, but I don't like to not know which of that text is not my original text. So what I'll do is I'll have it like bold that text so that I can see what isn't my work and then check that specifically.
Yep.
I'm curious if there's a way that you can program your chatbot to be like, hey, like there are certain steps of this process where there could be things that it's pretty important for me to check. Can you maybe point those out for me or stop at that process so that I can then come in and do something manually?
I think the answer is yes. I think it can. I think it can edit your work and show you all the edits so you can say, oh, that's not me or whatever it may be. Yeah, I think that's all. I think what I'm slowly learning is that everything's possible. And that's what's blowing my mind is I was told that we're going to come to a point where everything's possible with AI. And I'm like, okay, when's it coming? Because for those of you who are in Austin, we talked about, hey, this is coming. And then we're in Charleston. Hey, and then we saw a phone agent in in Charleston, that's now working with a few of the entrepreneurs that were there in their businesses. But it's still, okay, I really like, how's this going to really help me with efficiency? And now I'm finally seeing it. Maybe you guys maybe this is old news to some people on this call, maybe John or others who are in this industry. But for me as an entrepreneur, it was like, holy cow, we need our team to know about this now. Any other thoughts or questions from anybody else on the call in terms of, and by the way, does anybody even want to challenge me with hey, here's a simple thing. I got this going on in my business right now between here and here. Let me give you an opportunity to show me how this works.
John, if I could just chime in with one other additional thought here real quick, which is in addition to automations, which have a massive ROI, it's just, I won't belabor that point. The tools around everything that we use every day are advancing really rapidly. So there are tools, a lot of people I know see these like little bots that join calls. Zoom has built-in transcription. Anything that you come across like that, I would recommend at least give it a try. You can get a free tier subscription to these things, try it out. I don't want to watch a 2-hour tutorial on YouTube. I can just get the transcript from this tool called Sonics and then pay $1 or 50 cents or whatever. And then I can put that into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, here's a tutorial about this. Tell me how to use it. Whether it's transcriptions, meeting support, email insights, our whole world is getting wired to this stuff. And so just be on the lookout would be my advice, because these tools are popping up every day all over just in our existing ecosystems.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny you say that, because I know Rich and I have been experimenting with a product that I provided it my book. I provided it all 5 seasons of our podcasts. I provided it every transcript from now on when I do coaching calls, whatever's going to go into that system, where literally you can go have a call with John St.Pierre right now, and it's not me. But it has all this repository of information, right? So maybe one day when I'm not here, my kids can have conversations with me. That's probably where we're going with this. But if you think about it from a business perspective, some of those can be really valuable. If you do transcriptions of your sales calls, can you create a way where those transcriptions go into a Google Drive? Google Drive analyzes the sales call and provides a report to the VP of sales at the end of every week to let you know how all your salespeople did. We can come up with a countless amount of examples of different things that are out there with tools that exist. And I think the area that I've been spending a lot of time, 90% of what I saw was content and marketing. Maybe transcriptions may be an exception to that rule. And what I'm seeing now is how if you have an accountant that's spending 10 hours a month or 10 hours a week doing something that they shouldn't be doing because it could be automated, you will free up so much resource of that person. If you can move your monthly close, like one of our companies just moved their monthly close from like the 20th day of the month to like the 3rd day of the month. We're going to close the month today, as an example. We had no automation even in that. We're going to incorporate more automation in these things. So what can you do to really improve these different areas? And what I found is that the reason why we didn't invest in software engineers coming in and creating processes is because it was cost prohibitive. Like for a company to come in and do the scope of work, they're going to say, hey, this is like $30,000, $40,000 to go do. And you're like, how many of those can we do every year? So we just let's keep doing the manual way. Now you literally could have somebody in your company that all they're doing every day is setting up these workflows and automations. And it could be somebody who just got out of college, to be honest with you, who's helping you save hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Any other thoughts or questions?
Hey, John, this was really eye-opening for me. To the level where you're at with the workflows and things like that, now you got me like, hey, I want to spend the rest of the day looking at this. But as a firm, I'm trying to stay ahead of it, meaning, hey, what are we doing as a firm? And more, we're looking at research. So there's something called Tax GPT. I don't know whether you've heard of that. Thomson Reuters has a product that's called Co-Counsel.
Yep.
So our firms, we've evaluated these tools. And to Greg's point, he made a great point earlier. Sometimes you need to know what you're looking at, because I've seen Tax GPT make mistakes, and I just think it's a learned thing, and it's going to continue to get better and better. And Mario's on the call as well. Mario's maybe a ChatGPT junkie, not to the extent you are, but Mario's probably light years ahead of me. And just a question is, the ChatGPT you're using, is that just the plus version, John, to do what you're doing? And I know you're using other components, but
So Vince, I don't appreciate you calling me a junkie, but I was using ChatGPT for a lot. I still use it. By the way, one of the best ways I love using it, by the way, but I am on the $20 plus account, is having conversations with it when I'm in the car about something. Like I'm going to a meeting, help me prep and have a conversation. But I think the ChatGPT model that you pay $20 for is for personal production. I got to write a letter for somebody, help me write this letter better. I just got a letter from Vince, help me respond to it and help you construct your thoughts and ideas. The one I'm using for workflow builder is Claude.ai. And I'm using that one because it is it is known as being like the coding AI agent. And then within our company, because we're a Google workplace customer, all of our team gets Google Gemini as a part of the package. So that's why I built that HR tool that I showed you in Gemini, because the entire company has access to that as an example. But when you're creating these workflows, the workflow itself doesn't use the $20 ChatGPT or the $20 Claude. It uses APIs. It comes in the back door of ChatGPT and Claude to get the information. So you have to have an API account as well. And so that's why I showed Open Router, because instead of having an API account with ChatGPT, an API account with Gemini, an API account with Claude, I use Open Router that just picks which one it's going to use for me. Love that.
That's helpful, John. I guess, again, we're going to have another conversation. I'm sure I'll have more when we talk again.
Perfect. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Or again, we have a few minutes left here. Any ideas come to mind? Or I guess one of the things, if we were all in a room and I'd go around the room and ask everybody, can everybody think of one or two things within your business that maybe even it's a small 2 hours a week or whatever that you guys have that could be automated? And some of you may be restricted because your systems don't have API capabilities. I know a couple of people that are in that bucket. But imagine taking one of these a month and just tackling it and having a way to do it. And if you do want to get on a call, again, 30 minutes, an hour, it doesn't matter. I'd love for you to say, hey, here's an example. We got this. Show me how I would build it. And by the end of the call, I'll have a workflow built for you. Like maybe it needs to be API connected and maybe we got to do some testing and but I can show you how this is done with yourself or one of your team members and just help you push you on the road to, hey, go figure these things out. Otherwise, got some people that are doing some things now in that space. There's freelancers out all over the place. And quite honestly, the college student next door could probably help you, but we need to get moving on it. Unless anybody else has any questions, I appreciate everybody taking this time on July 3rd, come spend time with a Canadian to go through these things. And hopefully the emergency claim wasn't a false claim and you guys feel like it really was worth your time to be here. It was important for me to get it out to everybody in one shot as quickly as possible, and join us in Winston-Salem in October for phase 2 of this one, where we take it to another level again. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sean.